Johnny, did you shut the museum down?
Well, my last official position was the museum was going to be open. We would have tour guides that were going to guide us through. Now that we've come through with our scientists, they're saying that none of that is available. Never was going to be available. And, I'm hoping I get a refund on the lecture hall. Our setup was to go through with an educator. We would actually be able to respond to any evolutionary theory that we didn't agree with, and this would all be on camera. Everything was fine, and I rented a lecture hall for us to lecture in after that was accomplished. But now, I think we still have our lecture hall, but what's the point? I mean, we don't have anybody that's going to present the position of the museum. Right. Evolution evidently can't stand in this museum.
Well, I would say they definitely don't want us to be here. It's pretty obvious from their reaction that, they like media as long as the media is, quote, on their side. And so, today we were wanting to have somebody walk us through, take a look at what they teach the students here in Virginia. And yet they're unwilling to do that. In fact, they've pretty much closed us completely down. They don't want us to bring any cameras in. They don't want to really show us much of anything.
Well, I understand they shut down an exhibit.
We think so. I mean, pretty much the only thing we had access to was what they called the Great Hall.
And then they start charging tickets too, didn't they?
Yeah. So I don't know what to think about the Virginia Museum of Natural History. I would say it's lacking a little bit on the museum side. And
well, anything about education is, still room for debate, don't you think?
Definitely. And, I think if we are going to encourage our students to be good thinkers, to be critical thinkers, to grow up and educate themselves, there's a difference in education and indoctrination. And I'm afraid what this museum is trying to do is indoctrinate students just to one belief, and it's time we educate students.
If you could have had a chance to go through, tell me some of the things you would have done briefly.
Well, I simply would have asked the museum staff things like, precisely how do we get the dates that you're giving us? This Allosaurus is in the Jurassic period. There's a dinosaur replica in there. The question becomes, okay, it's easy to put a label on it, but precisely how do you get the dating of it? They've got an archaeology exhibit, and there again the question is, how do you date the fossils? Because usually what most evolutionists are doing, they're using circular reasoning. They're dating the striatal layers by whichever fossils they find in them, and yet they're turning around and dating the fossils by whichever striatal layer they find. So it's a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of questions that need to be asked. If you're going to open a museum, you're going to teach that we came from a Big Bang explosion, you should at least be able to tell the people where did that original matter come from, and how did life begin in the first place?
Now, you're from the Creation Museum?
I'm not from the Creation Museum. I have actually toured the Creation Museum. I'm actually from Focus Press, Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
We have a monthly magazine called Think, in which we encourage people to think.
Well, have you ever seen anything like this?
I've never had this.
Have you ever been shut out like this?
I've never been shut out like this. First time here in Virginia.
All right. Here's the museum's media policy, where they say all cameras and recording devices used by visitors in the museum must be approved by the museum's marketing department. And of course, I challenged them, how do you meet approval? They wouldn't tell us. And if you watch a special on WGSR tonight, it's a paid program. The Church of Christ is sponsoring it, and you'll actually see me with their cameras. They actually allowed the Church of Christ cameras to tape me, but they wouldn't allow my cameras in. Go figure. Stay tuned. We got more coming up.